A very young and inexperienced man decides to run for a political office. And in one of his speeches, he gets up and says, "I'm greater than George Washington." Well, people would have been just indignant at that statement. George Washington was the president of our country, the first one. Some would be so indignant that they'd want to just throw him out of town. It's sort of what they were doing to Jesus in the gospel today. He's saying that God is my Father. He's saying that before Abraham was, I came to be. And they want to throw him out of town. They stone him, it says in the gospel. They don't want to hear it. Jesus performed miracles. He had so much truth to say. They had all kind of evidence that he was somehow from God. But they refused to accept it because they did not want to change their way of doing things. They wanted to be their way, and their way was contrary to what God wanted. And so Jesus had a tough time with them. But Jesus sticks with the truth. And he says, that I made a covenant with Abraham, and I would never break it. And God did make a covenant with Abraham when he said he would be the father of many nations. We say in the first Eucharistic prayer that Abraham is our father in faith. And so that's so true, our father in faith. But Abraham's faith was very docile, He simply trusted in God. He had to wonder, when he didn't even have a son, how he was going to become the father of many nations. But he trusted in God. His faith was very docile. And I think that's what the Lord is calling us to have too, is docile faith, to believe because Jesus showed that he was God, and he wants us to trust and accept and to follow him. It's not always easy because we have to do it when we don't completely understand. Sometimes people say that faith is blind, like love is blind, and that is not true. When we see something that we love, we see more than someone that we love. It's more than what's just on the surface. We see deep within that person the goodness that they have and that they do. It's something that other people looking at them only on the surface, that's all they see. But to the one who loves someone and knows someone, there's going to be a deep faith and love and understanding. And faith is like that too. It's not really blind because somehow God has given us the gift of faith, which means that we can see things that others don't see. We can see goodness. We can see Jesus working in our life and in our world where many people cannot see it. But if we're looking at things through the eyes of faith, we can see so much more. That's what Jesus was trying to get across to his followers and to his apostles. How many times he got upset even with the apostles? They would question something and then he would say, I've been with you all this time and you still don't get it. You still don't understand. But Jesus kept on persevering because he loved them. He loved them. And it was worth persevering to bring them around to the truth. So the gospel today is reminding us that the covenant that God made with Abraham is one that you and I are experiencing even now. Abraham would have been floored to know that the second person of the Blessed Trinity, the Son of God, became man. That's how Abraham's faith would become the father of many nations, because Jesus Christ would bring faith to the world. And he had no idea what you and I have already seen and experienced. And so we're so fortunate to know that what Jesus promised to Abraham, we live in the fulfillment of that. Abraham, if he could have experienced the sacrifice of the Mass, he would have been overwhelmed. Where the sacrifices of the old law were gone, those didn't count anymore. Something was new that Jesus brought about. And it was so very different and so very wonderful. So as we approach Holy Week, the holiest and most intensely holy week of the year, Jesus becomes stronger and stronger. It's saying right out that I am the Son of God. God is my Father. And the more that he says it, the more they accuse him of blasphemy. But he's telling the truth. And because he's telling the truth, he's going to even go to his death defending that truth. And the result of that, defending that truth, is going to be resurrection from the dead. And that's where we as his followers have the same hope, that we too one day will rise from the dead. And that having gone through the experience of his church, having gone through the experience of faith and trusting in God, even when it's difficult, we can always look forward to the hope when that covenant will be totally fulfilled in the kingdom of heaven. So tonight is the day to give thanks to God for what he has blessed us with. And we need to continue to pray that the whole world will recognize the truth that Jesus taught. Let us stand and offer our prayers and petitions.